welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast. My name is Jess, and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information that I want to cover with you. All right, let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Now, keep in mind that if you do have any technical issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on today, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you, so throughout today's EcoCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over a live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. Now, if we don't get to your question during the live webinar today, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us will be following up after we wrap. All right, next up, there's going to be lots of cool aha moments on the EcoCast today. And if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's EcoCast will be automatically added to your post. All right, our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the handouts tab for some awesome resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection, solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. Now, if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes that we'll be giving away throughout today's EcoCast. I'm going to tell you a bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. First, you do need to be here live in attendance at the EcoCast in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all of you after we wrap. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, if you don't know what those full T's and C's are, that's fine. We've got the full thing for you. Just head on over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find them waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we actually have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. So in today's EcoCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our live sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all questions asked after we wrap the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and you would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about your big win, and we'll get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the EcoCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going, so let's connect on social media. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and on LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content and resources right after we wrap the EcoCast today, be sure to subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and, hey, grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or a coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you'll find a link to do that right in your handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected at the end of the webinar. And both you and your coworker or friend could win a prize, and we hold those drawings every month. So be sure to refer a friend, because it could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for all the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your handouts tab, fill out a quick application, and the Actual Tech crew will then match you with some vendors that we think you should probably be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you get to choose to join in, like surveys, test runs, new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you'll learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker on your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you all about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find out everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, prevent, and recover. This site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. Go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books will work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and as I said, they are completely free. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in that handouts tab as well. All right, well, we have covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get going.
Thank you, Jess. It is great to see you today, and welcome everyone to this Actual Tech Media EcoCast. Today's topic is supporting and enabling modern applications. I want to start by saying a big thank you to all of you for joining us. I see you, Brett and Federico and Andrew, Elena, Brandon, John, Brian, Michael, Rohan, always my favorite name to say because of that Lord of the Rings connection, and everyone else who is on from all over the world. Thank you so much for being here today. Great to have you. Now, on the EcoCast, we have got some of the biggest names in the industry. You will be hearing from experts at Couchbase and Rubrik and CyberArk and Duo Security. That is what I call a fantastic lineup. As for me, I am the one, the only Keith Ward, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this incredible EcoCast. Our other star moderators are Jess Stombeck, who you met already and we'll hear from again later, and the inimitable Scott Becker. All right, so in addition to the great learning you're going to get today, you may also get some help with your Christmas shopping. That's right. We are giving away three $300 Amazon gift cards today. And if you're so inclined and you win, you can always buy something for me. Just kind of keep that in mind because, of course, I am not eligible to win a thing here. And with that, let's get to the main event here, and we are going to start with a keynote presentation from the great Bill Kleinman. It's always a delight to hear from Bill. He is an uber expert in this area, and he will be setting the table for today's event. So, Bill, the mic is all yours. Take it away.
Hey, everybody, this is Bill Kleinman. Welcome to this, well, it's pretty important EcoCast conversation, supporting and enabling modern applications. Again, I'm Bill, board member here at Neuro, and I'm lead technologist there as well. We get to do really cool things with large language models and generative AI. I'm also the AppCom Data Center World Program Chair and contributing editor over at Data Center Knowledge, Data Center Frontier, Information Week, and a few others. Now, what's really cool about this topic was that a couple of a job ago, I worked at a really cool consulting company called EPAM Systems. And at EPAM, you're not going to believe what we did. We did a whole lot of application modernization, removing these large monolithic environments to create way more agile applications and services and systems. I'm getting excited. We don't have a lot of time to spend together, but you are going to be hearing quite a wonderful conversation today from several other speakers. They're going to be discussing, I know I'm going to be naming the title again, how to support and enable modern applications. But before we get into that, let's kind of go at a little bit of a high level. And we are going to have a bit of a did you know moment with Bill Kleinman. When it comes to application modernization, this is just something for you to keep in the back of your mind. Over the next 5 years, large language model-based applications will be as prevalent as traditional web apps are today. So you know that what we're developing for the future has to be smarter. It's got to be more agile. And I mean, effectively, we need to drive to a level of modernization with the applications that we use. But what does that ultimately look like? So I collected a list of 6 things in 2023 that I've seen a lot of individuals focus on when it comes to working with modern applications. That's obviously, AI driven, microservices at the forefront, low code, no code. I'm a big fan of that, but we don't have enough time to talk about it today. DevOps for secure environments and modernization, cloud native. We are going to talk about cloud native, and obviously the quantum leap in legacy modernization. I saw that. I thought it was really cool. Unfortunately, I don't have time to talk about quantum leaps, but I thought it was important there to at least talk about the importance of removing legacy infrastructure and modernizing with a better view in sight. Now, when you do actually modernize, I mean, there's really big benefits out there. The adoption of these cloud native technologies brings significant benefits to modern applications, including things like seamless scalability, fault tolerance, flexibility, operational efficiencies, and these advantages ultimately empower modern applications to efficiently adapt to changing demands and maintain very high availability while optimizing costs. So when you take a look at the real big benefits out there, you want to work with a system that is flexible, that has a cloud native architecture, like I said, that one can natively and intelligently streamline resource utilization across a variety of different kinds of environments, even if they are heterogeneous. So on-prem, cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid, you need to have an app and a set of service structures that can support that. But what is a modern app, and how do you ultimately support it? And again, you're going to be hearing a little bit more about this today, but a modern application is built using cloud native technologies such as containers and microservices, and they're designed to be scalable, resilient, and agile, very much in response to what we're seeing today in a crazy fluid world in terms of us being connected. Now, supporting these modern applications means enabling those apps that you've now developed. This involves providing the necessary infrastructure, tools, and processes to ensure efficient deployment, management, and monitoring. That's a key one. Put an asterisk on that one. We're going to come back to it. Monitoring of these applications in a cloud-native environment. So these are highly agile applications that require a little bit of a different perspective on how you can effectively manage them and support them. So again, you're going to hear about that a little bit more today. When we talk about the general overview of what a modern application, what sort of entails a modern app. Now, obviously, there's a modern DevOps structure that you have to think about, but I'm going to focus on these two topics right now. So cloud native architecture and containers and Kubernetes. So modern applications really embrace a cloud native architecture. Now, here's the thing, popular or unpopular opinion, not cloud first. Not always cloud first, but cloud native. That means it's capable of adapting in heterogeneous environments where you can leverage things like containerization, microservices, and dynamic orchestration. I love containers because they provide this portable and consistent environment, while the Kubernetes, the orchestration layer, that automation layer, allows you to automate the management of containerized applications, ensuring scalability and resiliency. So a cloud-native architecture that's capable of living in heterogeneous environments, and then containers, these little service, portable service architectures, and then Kubernetes as an orchestration layer. So let's dive into that just a little bit more, because if this is new to you, totally fine. I only get like 8 to 10 minutes with you anyway, so use your favorite search engine to explore about this a little bit more. Make sure you listen into today's conversation because we're going to be talking about it as well. Now, containers and Kubernetes. So containers themselves offer a modern application a great level of consistency, efficiency, and security by encapsulating dependencies, providing levels of isolation and portability. This ultimately empowers applications to run very consistently, like I said earlier, across diverse sets of environments and infrastructure, making them very well suited for cloud, hybrid, multi-edge, distributed type of ecosystems. Now, when we start to take a look at Kubernetes, remember, this is the orchestration layer that helps you organize and work with containers. Here, remember, containers aren't anything wild and crazy. Think of them as little VMs. Yeah, okay. Think of them as little VMs, each with its own CPU share, file system, processing space, memory, and more. But however, Kubernetes containers are considered lightweight because they can share an operating system among applications because of their approach to isolation properties. So it's this powerful automation orchestration layer that's capable of empowering basically a modern application to ensure good resource utilization, adapt to changing workloads, and really maintain optimal performance. Now, why are people using this kind of stuff in applications? It's really pretty simple. The use of Kubernetes and containers specifically in modern apps offers streamlined deployment, automated scaling, efficient management, fault tolerance, very rapid release cycles. So you're no longer afraid of releasing new services or applications or features, and a very high available environment in dynamic environments. So again, you're able to scale between different systems. Even if there's a problem, your cloud native application can live between different types of ecosystems. Now, that said, thanks for hanging out with me this long. It's not always all sunshine and games. I'm going to talk to you about a few challenges that I've seen in the industry as far as working with application modernization. First, Performance. This one's important, right? Ensuring optimal application performance and responsiveness in dynamic environments while managing resource utilization and scalability. It sounds awesome, but performance monitoring, application monitoring, resource utilization monitoring, user experience monitoring are all very, very important, especially when you start to work with containers, distributed environments. And you do introduce a little bit of extra complexity, but please understand it's totally worth it. You don't want to be working with legacy monolithic applications that if something breaks in an old database, that's it, your whole application goes down. Again, these modernization efforts are critical. The other big one is security, something you need to think about very, very closely. Addressing risk and vulnerabilities ensures data protection, access control, and compliance in these cloud-native environments. Because you're distributing data, because you are working with different nodes potentially of how you're distributing your apps and services, you do need to look at security from a different perspective. Where is it being stored? How is it being accessed? Do you need to geo-fence certain specific functions and features? So it's easier to do this with containers, but you do have to keep an eye on it to make sure you're actually, you're actually securing your environment. Think of it like a hotel room. Everybody listening, it's like a hotel room. You get through the concierge, but it's your responsibility to deadbolt the door once you get into your room. So just think about that. Data management, because you're going to be having more of a distributed environment, efficiently managing and securing this data, ensuring data integrity, for example, and regulatory compliance is going to be really important, especially when you have multiple moving parts inside of your ecosystem. So keep an eye on that and make sure that you manage your data as effectively as possible. All right. Final point, I want to leave you guys with some really important notes here, kind of the tools and technologies, some best practices that I've seen out there. I love container registries, especially if you're going to be using a lot of containers. This centralized repository for storing, distributing, and managing containers. It's great if you can enable versioning control, access control, and integration with CI/CD pipelines. Which brings me to my next point. Have a good DevOps practice, concept, leader, and have a good CI/CD pipeline. So continuous development, continuous integration and innovation, I actually like to call it that as well. Automated workflows for building, testing, and deploying software, facilitating rapid and reliable responses of new technologies and new requirements. So facilitating this delivery of updates and new features, ensuring continuous integration and continuous delivery. Again, very important monitoring tools. I know I mentioned this earlier. Because we're working with containers and microservices, you are seeing more of a distributed architecture. So working with a good monitoring tool that provides you insights is really important into application behavior, resource utilization, user experience, and enabling a proactive resolution architecture. And again, working with levels of optimization. So all of these are really, really important things. Sometimes we forget about them or put them in hindsight and only deploy them later. All right, last slide, final thoughts on working and supporting these modern applications. Please collaborate between your teams. Oftentimes, I've seen an application modernization project that ignores the users or key users that need to tell you how they're going to be using applications and what they're going to be doing effectively with them. Finally, this is an iterative process where it involves continuous improvement. Modernization and supporting these new applications is truly an iterative process. Don't stick your head in the sand. Don't be complacent. It's important to continuously evaluate and optimize key processes to ensure that they align with your business. With that, I think that's all the time that we've got. Again, we have got a full day of really great conversations here. Take notes, find a gold nugget, think about your applications, how they're functioning. Are they modern? Are you effectively supporting them even with the infrastructure that you have? And also be sure to continue this conversation. You can find me everywhere online, LinkedIn, my website, billclayman.com, which I really do try and keep that updated as much as I can. But meanwhile, enjoy the rest of the day, and to continue this conversation, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Didn't I say he was great? He has a real ability to simplify complex ideas and to fit a lot into a little bit of space. That is for sure. So again, thank you so much, Bill. Before we get to our first session of the day, we have a quick poll question for you. You've probably seen this before if you've been on our webinars. What is your time frame for adding new or existing or updating existing IT solutions at your company? Please tell us this. It's really important information for us and for our sponsors to know, and it gives us a good idea of whereabouts you are right now. So we really appreciate your feedback on that. keep voting for another minute. We're seeing a lot of you aren't sure right now, looking at the results here. Still in the planning. Oh, I don't know if that means you're in the planning stages or not. You could be not sure exactly when you're going to put in place what you're planning right now. So thanks for voting. Keep those votes coming. And we're seeing Not Sure still leading and 6 to 12 months in second place, but it's a real horse race right now. Keep voting for another minute while we get rolling with our sessions for the day. It is time to start hearing from our sponsors. And that means that first up in today's EcoCast is Couchbase. Presenting for Couchbase today is Mark Gamble, the Product and Solutions Marketing Director, and Jess is going to be joining Mark for some Q&A after the presentation, so please keep those questions coming in during the presentation. Mark, you are on tap. You are up to bat, to mix my metaphors a little bit. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm going to turn this over to you now.
Great. Thanks very much. I'm really pleased to be here. Thanks to Actual Tech for having us. I'm Mark from Couchbase, and today I'm going to be exploring Couchbase Mobile and our mobile capabilities, and put a specific focus on the value that Couchbase Mobile brings for our customers in powering applications that are always fast, always on, always available, guaranteed. So as we dive in, first, to set context a little bit about Couchbase. Couchbase is a cloud-native, NoSQL database that's used to power gigantic applications like those at LinkedIn and Tesco, Comcast, Amadeus, United Airlines, big enterprise customers who use us to power their critical applications. And when we describe Couchbase, it's a multi-model database, which means it's a combination of NoSQL concepts. And first, it's the processing of key value information in memory. And this is for hyper-fast responsiveness. It's how our customers make their websites faster, their logins faster, their overall user experience faster. And second, it's about the distributed storage of JSON document-based data, which brings flexibility and resilience. And on top of this, add full support for containerization, mobile and edge capabilities, which we'll be diving into deeper here, and a full set of built-in features like SQL query support and ACID transaction support. These are things that are not typically found with document databases, but is included with Couchbase. And on top of that, we add full text search, eventing, analytics. These are all capabilities for databases that our customers no longer have to bolt on from a bunch of different technologies to encapsulate the entirety of their application. They can get it all with a single database platform, and that is essentially Couchbase in a nutshell. Couchbase Capella is the managed version of Couchbase, and it's hosted in AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. It provides a fully managed cloud NoSQL database as a service for powering applications. And being a cloud service, of course, brings with it all of the benefits of as a service model. And that is basically taking onus off of you to install, configure, and maintain your own database environment. And obviously that saves time and money and reduces risk. Capella also includes Capella App Services. And these are fully managed services for synchronization, authentication, and access control for mobile and IoT apps. App Services includes an embedded database, which we'll be diving into today, as well as built-in cloud-to-edge synchronization. And it's ideally suited for edge and IoT applications where internet can be spotty or non-existent, and the number of clients can be in the hundreds of millions of devices. This is where Couchbase Mobile plays. So to set the stage for today's topic, I always like to start with something a little fun. And I'm a big classic rock fan, so I'm going to start by talking about one of my favorite classic rock songs. The Who recorded a great song called Goin' Mobile in 1971, and it was a top 10 hit about the freedom of being able to go wherever you want, whenever you want, and do whatever you want by being mobile and untethered to any one place. And this is exactly the goal of a mobile application, right? It's to free you from desktops and wires and allow you to go out into the world and still do the things that you want and need to do. Whether it's out in the woods or in the city, it's all the same to me. When I'm driving free, the world's my home when I'm mobile. And that's the spirit of the song, but I thought it was a really great analogy to what we provide for our customers' applications. And when we look at the requirements that our customers come to us with, the primary one is to delight and retain and grow app users. And to do this, they need to deliver great experiences, regardless of internet connectivity. Users need to know that they can rely on their applications for critical tasks and activities without losing connections or slowing down, getting that dreaded spinning please wait wheel that we all love so much. We all expect apps to be available and fast, or we just won't use them. And we will uninstall apps and give it a poor rating in the App Store if they fail to meet any of these requirements. And so our customers know that users behave in this way. And so they expect a great experience at the edge. And our customers also told us that they need to modernize their systems to gain scale and speed to meet those users' demands. But they don't want their development times wasting precious time, or their development teams wasting time learning new development languages and paradigms, right? They want to accelerate the development process. And they also told us that they need the ability to deploy data processing anywhere necessary in order to meet security and availability and speed requirements for their applications. Not just only in the cloud, but anywhere, with the ability to synchronize data across the entire ecosystem, from the cloud to the edge to the device. So this encapsulates kind of those big requirements that our customers come to us with. And these are in response to the proliferation of mobile devices that are being used to conduct a day-to-day life, right? Our customers are experiencing and trying to react to user and device expansion. Everything today is expected to be online. Health apps monitor our condition and make recommendations. Telemedicine is replacing in-person doctor visits, and restaurants can now take orders and payment at the curbside or out in the parking lot. Factories and utilities must deal with massive amounts of data generated by sensors. There's an emerging model of just walk out stores being launched all over the place, where the shopper's interactions are entirely digital. And built-in mobile device technologies like GPS and Bluetooth and NFC, push notifications, these are all key enablers of these types of use cases. And the applications are overwhelmingly mobile first. So to meet the expectations and demands of users, they increasingly require higher guarantees of reliability and speed than can be achieved with just cloud computing alone. And this is why many are turning to a decentralized edge computing model, trying to extend from the cloud out closer to where the data is actually happening. So the problems that Couchbase Mobile solves can really be largely rolled up into these core points. Speed, our customers need to provide an experience that meets the demands of their users who expect apps to respond immediately. Reliability, these apps need to be impervious to inherent internet slowness and outages. And security, apps that handle sensitive information have to adhere to strict requirements for regulatory compliance. And bandwidth usage. Network usage can be a choke point for apps. And shared capacity introduces unpredictable bottlenecks. Egress charges for data in the cloud can get really expensive. So these really represent the core challenges that our customers face. But they also represent key benefits that customers get from Couchbase Mobile. So to explain in more detail, let's take a quick look at an actual customer. In food and beverage, the largest brands obviously grow and stay on top by keeping their shelves stocked and customers happy. Simple requirements and concept, but in some cases, an aging technology stack can really make it a challenge. So PepsiCo's order to cash application serves a critical business function. It's supposed to enable sales reps and delivery staff to take and fulfill orders and deliver their products, keep chips and soda on the shelves, and engage customers in the field. but the app was based on 3G and unable to operate when outside of internet coverage. And that happened frequently when in remote parts of the country. And when they were out of range, staff were forced to use paper, get out that clipboard with all the delays and errors that go with it. And this really started to impact customer relationships. So what they needed was a way to modernize that app and remove dependencies on the internet so they keep business flowing at top speed. So why is it that relying solely on a cloud-based data center for app data can present problems? Because it relies entirely on the internet. So in a cloud computing architecture, apps rely solely on the cloud for data processing and computing. And when the internet data center are humming along nicely, so are the apps that use them. But if the internet starts to slow down or something happens in the data center, so do the apps. And if the internet goes out, so do the apps, right? And that leads to costly business downtime, or worse, depending on the app. So what's needed is a way to eliminate the internet from the equation. So for contrast, here's an edge computing architecture where red icons indicate data storage and processing, and these green lines indicate data synchronization. So in an edge architecture, the cloud database still remains integral, right? It's the back-end database for the app ecosystem, but here we've inserted some new layers for processing data. A database on a near proximity edge data center, and little databases embedded directly to apps running on edge devices to facilitate local data processing. And this architecture makes apps faster because the data is right where it needs to be when it has to be there, but also synchronized throughout the architecture. So when we take a look at that, when all tiers of the architecture are running, apps work great. But if the internet goes out and the cloud data center goes out, those apps keep running because there is still alternative local data processing. And if the internet goes out altogether, the apps are unimpacted. Similarly, if an edge data center starts to suffer slowness or goes out, those mobile and IoT devices that have an embedded database will continue to remain available and sync data between devices 100% of the time. And this is the point, is that Couchbase Mobile, it has unique support for this type of architecture. It runs in the cloud. It runs at the edge and on devices. And this allows you to store and process data closer to the point of interaction, making those apps faster and more reliable by removing internet dependencies. The data is just right there. It's closer, so it goes faster. And it's also, always available because you're not reliant on the internet. And it can also automatically synchronize data between these layers for consistency, and that's critical in a decentralized environment. So this is how we're able to provide the highest possible guarantees of speed and availability for mobile and IoT applications. So as we circle back to, the solution for PepsiCo, Couchbase was able to deliver on all of these requirements. They embedded the database directly to the app. Now it works 100% of the time. They don't even have to worry if they're connected or not. And reps and delivery staff continue to work. Their 30,000 app users make deliveries and place orders and manage merchandising, update sales information without disruption. And data sync occurs behind the scenes when they get back in range of a connection. And this app's a cornerstone of their business and directly contributes to revenue generation and customer satisfaction. All right, now let's take a look at the different pieces that make up the Couchbase Mobile product stack. It's made up of three foundational components. Couchbase Server, this is our flagship distributed NoSQL document database with support for SQL and analytics, full text search, eventing, all the things we talked about up front. And then we have Couchbase Lite. This is the embeddable version of Couchbase for mobile and custom embedded devices. It runs directly as part of the application. And Sync Gateway, which sits in between, is responsible for secure data synchronization and routing, access control between mobile clients and server tiers. And these capabilities can be deployed two ways. Fully managed with Couchbase Capella, which we also talked about up front. But here's another unique, is that you can also deploy self-managed. And this is where customers would install Couchbase themselves on public or private clouds, or on a cloud edge service, or on-prem. And another unique here is that our customers you can layer these different deployment models together so that you can have hybrid, some of it on our managed, some of it on your own cloud, some of it on-prem. These are all models that are types of models that our customers have adopted. And Couchbase Lite for developers is arguably one of the most full-featured, developer-friendly NoSQL embedded databases on the planet. I'm a little biased, of course, but it has native support for iOS and Android and Windows platforms. Customers build desktop and web server apps using .NET and Java. We also support the C API. This allows developers to build applications in C that run on nearly any embedded platform. Couchbase Lite allows our customers' development teams to go faster because of JSON flexibility, right? They're not bound by a rigid relational data source. Simple to use APIs for database operations, SQL support, comprehensive platform and language support. And we can make the bold claim that we can support any platform, any language, and any device. So I'd like to talk about Couchbase Customer for a minute. And I always like talking about Lodem. This is a game developing company, game development studio. And they've been using Couchbase for a while. They're a recent adopter of Capella. And that's, of course, our cloud database as a service. And their use case is a great example, I think, of leveraging a distributed cloud and mobile database model that extends all the way out, to the apps running on devices. So the challenges that Lodem faced can really be summed up in one word: gamers, right? More specifically, gamers' expectations, right? Gaming apps have to handle tons of unpredictable traffic on unreliable networks that can slow or fail at any time, right? We go into elevators, we go into subways, we go through tunnels. And, at the same time, gamers expect to have seamless gameplay, like zero downtime. And any failure to provide this type of experience means abandonment. And for a game vendor, that's really, the worst possible scenario. User retention is critical for games to succeed. So Lodem knew how critical it was to keep gamers happy and keep them playing, regardless of their device or the state of their network connection. So they turned to Couchbase Capella for the scale and speed that's really necessary to power its most popular title, 4 picks, 1 word. Recommend everybody check it out. It's an addictive game. It's the essence of simplicity. And once you pick it up, you can't put it down. So it's really, realizing that virality that they were hoping for. It's a smash hit, hundreds of millions of downloads and counting. And its popularity is only growing. But as it grows, so does the need for global scale. So Capella was able to provide that. That's why Lodem turned to our database as a service model and app services. And with that, they're actually seeing 3 key benefits. First, the scale to meet the demands of increasing numbers of gamers all over the world. Second, the fact that Capella is developer friendly, easy to use. It supports SQL. And this means that Lodem's small 35-person development team was able to adopt it and become productive really quickly. And then third, with Capella App Services, Lodem is able to provide offline first capabilities because that database is embedded directly to the game on all of its supported platforms. That means the gaming experience isn't interrupted by network delays or outages. And App Services is able to synchronize data between game devices and the cloud to ensure accurate stats and ranking and scores, even when the player switches devices mid-game. So through this ability to distribute data processing from the cloud to the edge to the device, and automatically and securely synchronize data across a global gaming ecosystem, Couchbase Capella is the cloud database that ensures Lodem games are always available and fast, with or without internet connectivity. Try it out for yourself. And in fact, in addition to that, there's a really powerful showcase of Couchbase mobile data sync that you can also see for a very simple but powerful demonstration. You can get the sample demo app called Simple Data Sync on the Apple App Store. Use the QR code here or search Simple Data Sync on the App Store. Download it to 2 or more devices and you'll be syncing data within seconds. It really couldn't be easier, so be sure to check it out. And as a wrap up, be sure to take advantage of the Couchbase Capella free trial. You can even set up the Simple Sync demo app that I just talked about to sync through the cloud using the free trial of Capella app services. So some real fun there. So I wanted to say thanks to all of you and to Actual Tech, and I think we're going to go ahead and open it up for some question and answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, thank you so much. What an interesting presentation. That was a great walkthrough. And now I feel like I need to go find that game right away and get into that. I've been looking for like a nice, chill kind of simple game to get into on my phone. So that seems like
it's really fun, but beware because it's hard to stop playing.
Mark has warned you all. So all right. Well, we're going to get into some audience questions here. Mark, you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's hear them.
Okay, let's do it. I will start with this one here. How does the database handle data sync conflicts?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good one because that's, a fundamental conundrum in a distributed environment with, writes and reads happening all at the same time. The replication protocol for app services has automatic conflict res built in. And it's based on rules and built to resolve conflicting document changes, right? They're all the data stored in JSON documents. And so it delivers this by applying one of its built-in conflict resolver policies, which can easily be included in any replication. And the goal of automatic conflict resolution is to return a winning revision, if you will, based on the consistent application of the conflict resolver policy. And unlike other mobile database solutions, conflict resolution rules with Couchbase Mobile can be customized to meet specific requirements. This is how Couchbase is able to maintain complete data integrity from cloud to edge devices. And yeah, it's definitely when we start looking at other solutions out there, the ability to customize your conflict resolver policies has been a real boon for our customers who would otherwise have to build conflict resolution and sync themselves or rely on what was provided by the vendor, which in many cases is based on very simplistic rules and so subject to not meeting every use case and providing problems. So we definitely our customers take advantage of this custom capability.
Well, that's really cool, and we get asked a lot about kind of key uniques. So that's a neat unique. I'm gonna try to sneak in another question here because I really like this next one. I like all the questions that have been asked, but this one's a really fun one, and I think it's probably one that people have wondered quite a bit to themselves when we talk about edge. So, question here: why is 5G always mentioned in the context of edge computing? Are they the same thing?
Yeah, it's not surprising that this could be conflated to be kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
They're not. However, they are intrinsically intertwined, right?
Yeah.
5G requires edge computing, I think, to realize its full potential. So if you think about what 5G is, it provides substantial benefits in speed and increase of bandwidth, but these concepts only apply to the last hop. And what that means is that this is from the edge of the network to the cell tower, from the cell tower to your device. But the round trip from the tower to the cloud is not on 5G, right? So signals can get from your device to that tower faster, but going from the tower to the cloud data center and back can still take, triple-digit milliseconds or more, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And that can limit the benefits of 5G. It goes faster, but a speedier final hop can't make up for overall internet latency or outages. And so this is where the concept of actually putting an edge data center within the 5G network comes to bear. This is exactly what Couchbase has done with partner technologies such as AWS Wavelength, partnered with Verizon 5G. That's where the data center lives in that final hop, and so can take advantage of all of that extra speed, and is also not dependent on the internet. So we meet all of kind of those, we get past all the challenges that we've been talking about. And I always like to quote one of my favorite analysts, Dave McCarthy from IDC. He said something akin to, 5G can reduce network latency between the endpoint and the mobile tower, but it doesn't address that distance to the data center. So, if you deploy edge computing onto the 5G network, it minimizes that physical distance, eliminates the internet from the equation, and greatly improves response times. So that's a great question.
I like that. So closely connected, but not one and the same. And that's a interesting nuance. And I appreciate you walking us through that, because I think sometimes, we forget to ask these questions. We get so caught up in the next step of it. And I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there wondering. I wish we could keep going with this conversation, Mark, because there's so many questions that we haven't gotten to, but we are hitting the end of our time. So we're going to switch you over to live chat, and we will make sure that any questions that don't get answered over live chat today are also followed up via email. So everyone keep those questions coming in. Mark, before you leave us though, if somebody out there wants to get started, wants to jump in with Couchbase, what do you recommend as that first step?
Try out the Capella free trial. Go to cloud.couchbase.com/sign-up. That's the URL. You go there and you can actually have your environment spun up in under 5 minutes and start taking advantage of it. That should be a first stop. And as well, check out our website, which has loaded with information on Couchbase Mobile to learn more.
Fantastic. 2 great ways to get started. Thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate you being here with us today. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks very much for having me. And I had a lot of fun as well.
And I think we all had a lot of fun listening to you. Thanks, Mark, for a great presentation. And Jess, thank you for the Q&A assist. People are always happy to see you. We're going to throw up the poll question now. Let us know what additional information you would like from Couchbase. Hey, one little note on what they were talking about. I just got my first new iPhone in many years, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it has got 5G, and I was astonished at the speed. Like, it's faster to use 5G than it is to be on my home Wi-Fi network, which is not the slowest network around either. So I've definitely seen the impact that 5G can make even on my phone. So pretty interesting to hear all of that information. And while you're continuing to vote, I'd like to remind you about the handouts. We've got a PDF from Couchbase. Check that out for more detail. Download it while this is all going on. And thanks everyone for your feedback. It's really useful to us. And so keep on voting for another few seconds while we move on now to our first drawing of the day, our first Amazon gift card drawing of the day. So let's go to that right now. Why don't we? We are giving away 3 $300 Amazon gift cards, as I said at the start. And the winner of the first one is, drum roll in your head, please, Brenda Patterson from Washington. Congratulations to you, Brenda. We will be in touch very soon about claiming your prize. And with that, everyone, let's move along to our next presentation in today's EcoCast. Up next is Rubrik. Presenting for Rubrik is Jerry Ranbeck and Salvatore Bucliero. Jerry and Salvatore, it is great to have Rubrik here. As always, I am going to turn this right over to you. Take it away.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Ranbeck from Rubrik. Within Rubrik, I'm responsible for our SaaS and security products in EMEA. And I'd like to talk to you today about one of the fastest growing applications in the world right now, Microsoft 365. So what we've seen, and especially because of the pandemic, is an extremely accelerated usage. And not just in sheer numbers, but most of all in criticality. I think M365 has extremely rapidly evolved from an email online utility to a tier 1 business application. Imagine a situation today, if you have already migrated to M365, imagine a situation today where all of your email, your collaboration, your Teams, your OneDrive, your SharePoint sites, everything is gone. What happens to your business when that moment comes? How do you interact with your customers? What is your failback scenario? I mean, could you even communicate with press? Things like that. So 365 has been an enormous, increasingly important application in our data center landscape, in our cloud landscape. And I want to talk to you about protecting that data that is in there. Because Microsoft will protect Microsoft will give you the services you are needed to run your 365 environment, but the data that is in there is your data. And that's not just my statement, that's actually the contract that you've also signed with Microsoft. You know, they will provide all the services needed to keep those services running, but in case something happens to your data, that is your responsibility, and that is why Microsoft strongly recommends you to back up the data that is in there on a regular basis. So, what is it that Rubrik has to offer for customers using 365? Of course, Microsoft already has a lot of tools inside of 365 that you can use for accidental deletions, for litigation situations, and of course the compliancy, the threat analysis, all of those things Microsoft can do for you. But what Rubrik can do on top of that is really give you a zero trust backup environment for that 365 data. We will make sure that we can protect and recover it, even if you're talking about tens of thousands of users. Of course, all of that is being done in through Rubrik form. As you, if you're already a Rubrik user, you know that everything in our system is run by SLAs. So you tell us basically how many backups you want per day, how many copies you want to have stored, for how many years you want to store them, and the system will figure out how to do those backups. That is for data center solutions, but that's also for hybrid cloud solutions, and now also for 365 SaaS applications. So what is the real threat that we're facing? Of course, Microsoft will do everything in their power to keep you safe. Unfortunately, they have no control over what happens to your users and your passwords, and sometimes perimeters are breached. If that is the case, what we see more and more is that these attackers will try and get your global admin passwords as soon as possible. Because once they have that, and it can take weeks of digging through your log files, of social engineering, spear phishing, you name it, but they will get to a point where they have that administrator password. And once that is there, all transactional systems are locked. You will get the note saying, we now have your data locked, and you have decisions to make. Are you going to pay them, or are you going to try and come back from this scenario? So, of course, your data will be exfiltrated, you'll get a ransom note, and then basically Microsoft gives you some tooling to, you have retention policies, recycle bins, version control, legal holds, preservation lock. So you basically have those options within your environment, which is fine if you're talking about 10, 20, 30 mailboxes. The problem is, at enterprise scale, these tools were never built for disaster recovery. There's no way to get 10,000 mailboxes or terabytes of OneDrive data back through these policies or back through these tools. So you either use the native compliancy tools or you're doing the compliancy encryption, preservation tools, but none of them will give you the ability to do a mass recovery. So if that is what your strategy is based on, it will get you out of a lot of situations, but mass protection and recovery is not one of them. And that is a scenario if you're attacked by ransomware, although sometimes you also have rogue IT administrators or just major project blunders These things happen, and if you have to recover 10,000 mailboxes and OneDrive folders, that's the moment when you realize that all of those tooling that you've been using for single file recovery or single mailbox recovery are not going to help you right now. So all of these tools by itself are fantastic. They have their own use. But in case of a cyber attack, what you see is actually, if they have the global admin account, they're actually going to use these against you, because retention is great, but an admin can overrule it and set it back. So your recycle bin no longer works. The legal hold is fantastic if you want to lock 1, 2, 3 mailboxes, but there's no way you can lock your entire environment and utilize that tool. Same with retention, the same with version control. Version control is fantastic if you delete a file and you want to get a previous version, if you modify a file and you want to get a previous version back. But if you delete the entire environment, then also version control is gone, right? This is why you need a third-party application like Rubrik to protect this environment, this business-critical application. So some core design principles. So Microsoft is an investor in Rubrik, and our combined efforts to build the best solution in the market to protect that 365 data has some key principles. So our approach really has been, this is a zero trust design, right? So the core principle is nobody is to be trusted, including our employees, your employees. So everything has been completely air-gapped, encrypted, and least access. So role-based access control, lowest permissions possible, et cetera, et cetera. Our employees cannot access that data, and that data is also not stored in your primary Microsoft environment. It's actually stored in ours. So even if they have full global access control, full global admin control in your environment, they will not be able to reach the backup data. Of course, this is an enterprise solution, so we want to make sure that we use all of the tools that Microsoft gives us, all of the APIs and the Kubernetes services that run below, to scale that up automatically and use the power of the cloud, the performance of the cloud, to really give you minimal downtime, maximum performance. Of course, we've built this solution from the ground up, but also to be completely compatible and exactly the same as we are already protecting data centers today. So if you're using Rubrik for your VMware environment or your native cloud solutions or your SQL servers, the way you're protecting the environment based on SLAs, based on business policies, it works exactly the same. It's the same interface, the same workflow, the same full API automation possibilities that you have in our core product, you also have in our 365 product. So how does it work? You have, on the bottom of the screen, this is your 365 environment. It's compromised, they have your passwords, and now they're trying to reach that data. The beauty is, of course, we're using multi-factor authentication. We're using OAuth authentication between the two systems. So basically, you give us a one-time password to get the information that we needed. After that, these user accounts are no longer used. Everything is encrypted, both at flight and at rest. But most of all, it's completely air-gapped. It has separated from your environment. There's no matching user IDs and passwords, and it's completely safe. Once that connection has been established, you assign the SLA. You tell us, this is how many times a day I want my mailboxes protected. This is how many times a day I want my SharePoint environment protected. This is how many days, weeks, months, or years you have to store this. Rubrik, go figure it out. Once that is done, we will scale up our backend. So the amount of machines, the amount of storage, the amount of Kubernetes services that we are using in the back is dynamically allocated based on the metrics of your environment. So we know how many users, how many terabytes, petabytes we need to protect or recover, and based on that, we'll scale the backend as needed. And of course, all in one simple interface a SaaS application hosted by Rubrik with all of your data ready to be restored. Last but not least, Microsoft recognizes the importance of these kind of solutions, and we're extremely proud to say that Microsoft even took a significant stake in our company because they believe that this is the way forward. So our engineers are working together to bring you the best solution in the market possible today. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've tried to show you the why and the what of M365 protection. In the next 15 minutes, I'm actually going to show you the how. So stick around for a live demonstration, and see you there.
Thank you, Jerry. I will take it from here. Hi, everyone. My name is Salvatore Bucoliero. I'm based in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I'm the Senior Microsoft 365 Specialist Engineer for EMEA. I've been here since 2017, so almost 5 years now. It's really going fast. It has been really fun and interesting to be part of this journey of innovation here with Rubrik. In this little video, I will show you a short demo of how we protect a Microsoft 365 workload. We have a very good partnership with Microsoft, who recently decided to invest with Rubrik, and we are, of course, super excited and proud to be selected as a Microsoft 365 partner. But let's jump into the demo. Let me share my screen. So as you can see here on the screen, this is Rubrik Polaris. Rubrik Polaris is our central management and administration, reporting and auditing tool for all the workloads you want to protect. So this includes data center workloads, remote offices, cloud workloads, and SaaS. This is also the place you would be alerted and be investigating if you had a ransomware attack. This is also where you could investigate if you have any personal sensitive data in your data sets. This is where you can set up, test, and do orchestrated disaster recoveries between sites, and much more, including the new capabilities we'll be bringing to the marketplace. So one central management to rule them all. In this picture here, you can see we have an overview of tasks. We have a compliancy overview, protection overview, and for each of these numbers, you can click and drill in and get more information. We have a map, an interactive map where we can see where our data centers are located. So I'll be going into the inventory. This is the view of all the things we can protect here at Rubrik. As you can see, it's data center, it's cloud, it's all the workload types. This is Microsoft 365, and we get an overview here. We have one subscription, we have 100% compliancy rate, 690 protected objects. And let's go in and see this. This is the dashboard of Microsoft 365. It gives you a good amount of information in one quick go. So you can see how much storage we are consuming. We can see the compliancy for all the objects. And here we can drill into compliancy for a specific object type, such as teams. And we can see we have 4 teams and they are all compliant. We have a graph of daily errors and warnings, and we can see a success rate. And down here, we have an overview of the mailboxes, the OneDrives, the SharePoints, and the Teams. And we are getting told how many we are being protected. And we get an SLA compliance rate. This is just one Microsoft 365 subscription I have in this demo. If you want to add more subscriptions, you can just click Add Subscription, and this will guide you into a 7-step process where you are connecting to your Microsoft 365 subscription, authorizing access, setting it up, and then you are good to go. It's really fast and efficient, And here at Rubrik, we believe in simplicity and we believe in efficiency. So we are utilizing Microsoft Kubernetes to spin up compute resources as needed. And by doing this, we are very elegantly and automatically able to scale from very small workloads to very large workloads. Also, we have a Microsoft 365 hosted option where we are storing your Microsoft 365 data in an Azure hot blob store that ensures that you have no access to the actual backup data, and that ensures that a rogue admin or a ransomware attack would not be able to destroy both your production data and your backup data. So separation of duties is super important. This interface obviously also supports single sign-on, multi-factor authentication. We have role-based access. Everything is encrypted and using certificates. So security is really in the center of it all as well here. Let's look into Exchange Mailbox and see what users we have here. You can see this is the Users tab for Exchange Mailbox. We could also select OneDrive. And we have here the SLA domains that we are using to protect these users. I could select all of the users in one go and click Manage Protection. And here I can select one of the SLAs that I have already, or I can create my own. So I'll do that, or at least the first few steps of it. So I'll be typing a name here that gives this SLA a name. And here I can select what type of workloads I want to be protecting with this SLA. So you can see we support multiple workload types in this GUI. Microsoft 365 is what I want. I'll click Next. And now I need to decide how often I want to protect the workload and how long retention I want for these settings. So maybe I want to protect everything every 4 hours, and I will retain this frequency just for 1 day. So for the past 24 hours, I have 6 backups to choose from. I may want a regular daily backup, and I'll keep that for 1 month. I'll do a monthly backup, and by the way, I want that the first day of the month, and I want to keep this for 3 months. And then finally, I want a yearly backup, which is from December, and I want to keep this for, let's say, 5 years. Very simple and easy and intuitive way of defining exactly how I want to be protecting my workloads. I'll click Next. And this is an overview of the selection choices I've done. I won't create this SLA now. I just wanted to show you how we do create these SLAs. So instead of assigning SLAs by the user, which can be somewhat cumbersome, depending on how many users you have, we also understand an Azure AD group setup. So here are some of the Azure AD groups we have imported into Polaris, and I can then assign SLAs depending on which group a person is part of. And you can see if I add group, it will connect to Azure AD, and here I can select which group I want to be administrating. So this could be SQL admins. Click Add, and now I have SQL admins, and I can then assign an SLA to users belonging to that group. Really nice and easy. Going back to the users, I have a status of active users and relic users. So when users are leaving the company, we most likely still have to retain the data for the remainder of the retention period. And by selecting active or relic, we can know if we are working with active or relic users. Up here, I have a very fast search capability. I can find a user. You could see we have 2 Salvatores here at Rubrik. And I'll just select myself. And this is the overview of the protection of my mailbox. I'm part of the SLA called Gold. and you can see it's highlighted. I could click in and see how that actually is set up. This is the calendar view, so we can see what backups we have for each day for the past couple of days. And I'll go into this today. I have 2 backups. I can do a recovery from each of those, or I could search here for an email from any of those 2 backups. Maybe let's search for Microsoft. Let's see if we find something. And there are all my emails that contains the subject Microsoft. From here, I can select those emails I want, select recover, and restore them back to myself or to another user. I'll just go ahead and recover those. And as you can see, this is now in motion. This is the same simple principle I use for OneDrive. Again, I have my SLA. I can see now how much data I'm consuming in OneDrive. I have the snapshots of the different dates. Let's say if I go back to December, what do I have from that? December 1st. There was a scheduled backup. I want to recover from that one. I can select the entire OneDrive, or I can click into the actual folder structure, go into documentation, select a set of documents, click next, and recover them back to me or to another user. Of course, this is depending on the rights I have. I also have Teams, and for Teams, they are in different channels or groups, if you will. I can click into those. Again, I have the calendar view. I can click the calendar. I can search here by file names. I can also add more fields to my search, from and to, and which channel it's part of. And then, of course, I can go into the folder structure and recover those OneDrive documents directly. Very easy. Here are the various channels. I actually created my own. Click into that, and I have a document there I could recover as well. It's very much the same for SharePoint sites. I have the sites here. I can click into the site. I can search for documents. I can select an entire site. So really easy and simple and intuitive. The last thing I wanted to show you is the events and reporting. Of course, all events such as backup successes and failures and indexing and whatnot is being logged here, and you can of course send this to an external syslog server, or you can send it to Seam or XOR and other types of applications. And we also have an audit log, so you can see that I started a restore from my own mailbox, and this audit log will also be showing if a user is doing a search on a subject type in other people's emails. It's of course very crucial to keep an audit log on what people are doing with this tool. Going back to the inventory, this is again, this is the rubric Polaris, where we can manage all your workloads. And I hope you enjoyed this little demo of how we protect a Microsoft 365 workload. So thank you for your time, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, outstanding presentation, as we always get from Rubik, it seems like. Thanks, Jerry and Salvatore. For that, I love the in-depth demos, the ones that kind of take their time and let you kind of see all the ins and outs, or most of them, of a product, rather than kind of a really quick overview. Get a much better sense of how it works. So thanks so much for that. It got the next poll question up now for Rubric, and we want to know what additional resources you'd like to see from them. Fill it out right now while we get ready for our next presentations. Now, it looks like we had a bunch of questions that we can't get to right here. We are out of time for this, but the Rubric team will do their best to respond to all of these questions. Also, don't forget about the handout section for each of our vendors, including Rubric. We have got a superb handout that is well worth your time to download, so check those out now. Thanks to everyone who's responding to the poll. We appreciate your feedback, and I'm just going to leave it up here for another moment. So I also wanted to ask all of you a question kind of on my own here. As I mentioned at the beginning, I have got a new iPhone 15, and I'm looking for recommendations for a game for that. So all of you who have favorite iPhone games, let me know what you really love. Put those answers in the questions tab here. If you've got something you really like, you think I should try, put it up in there and let me know. Would love to hear what you think. I don't play that many games on it, so I'm looking for something, just as kind of a time waster and to have a lot of fun with. So thanks again for that. Lots of chances for feedback today, isn't it? All right. And with that, let's move on to our next prize drawing, another $300 Amazon gift card, the second one that we have for today. And the winner of that $300 Amazon gift card is Ray Yuan from Maryland. Now, that is right in my neck of the woods. Congratulations to you, Ray. We're going to be in touch with you ASAP about claiming your prize. So with that, it is time for our next presentation in the EcoCast. Coming up now, we have got CyberArk. Presenting for CyberArk is Kurt Sand, who is ready to go. Kurt, you have got the floor right now, so you can get started here.
Welcome, everybody. Excited to be here with you today to talk about securing modern applications. I'm Kurt Sand, General Manager of the DevSecOps practice here at CyberArk, and looking forward to having a chance to walk you through some thoughts on this topic and take some Q&A at the end. So let's dive in. So when we look at modern applications, typically in this case, we are referring to the cloud in some format. What we see is that we see new cloud attack paths, but same attacker journey. What do we mean by that? Well, things typically start going wrong through some internal threat or external threat, human or non-human. The difference is now the entry point can be through one or multiple cloud services that you regularly use, which have an enormous amount of entitlements and roles that have created a bigger landscape by which threat actors can try to enter. Once entered, though, they want the same thing they've always wanted, which is to move laterally across the roles and get to what they're after. Might be to disrupt a business, might be to steal data, and more these days, it may be to spawn new instances of cloud resources for cryptojacking. But the one thing that hasn't changed is it all starts from some kind of breach of an identity by which then they move through this attacker journey. In order for us to overcome this and try to defend against it, we need to secure both human and non-human identities. When we think about humans, let's think about all of those that are part of a cloud development team, building cloud applications, from developers to architects to SREs to cloud ops, maybe external vendors that you're using, or admins or cloud ops over your infrastructure. When we think about non-human, it's all of the places where we might have stuff that we're building, working on. Bots and AI, it might be applications, it might even be devices and IoT in your organization. But all of these have unique identities and can be entry points for an attacker. In CyberArk, we think of this helping you through our identity security platform. And the way we organize this threat landscape is think about all the types of identities here on the left, everything from your admins to your bots to your devices. And on the right, all of the resources that those identities need access to in order to perform their daily tasks. We're sitting in the middle as the identity security platform, providing intelligent privilege controls and making sure that there's seamless and secure access of all of those identities to all of those resources, and doing it in a way that is possible at scale and simplicity through automation and orchestration. Today, I want to take a deeper dive into the secrets management piece as part of this overall identity security landscape. So first of all, what is a secret? So a secret is any privileged access for a non-human identity. Think about things like credentials, access, keys, SSH keys, passwords, anything that a non-human identity needs in order to gain access to one of those resources we just showed. And what is the terrible thing we often hear talked about are hard-coded secrets. And what are those? It's basically a secret in the clear, in a file, in code, in an environment variable, somewhere that's unfortunately even easier to get at, possibly even a public Git repo. All of those are secrets, and all of those need to be well managed in order to reduce this threat landscape. So when we think about secrets management, we often talk about it in the context of DevSecOps. But if we break DevSecOps down, it's really three key personas that we want to make today better. Developers who just want native integrations, simplicity, they want it baked into their daily environments through native integrations without a lot of distraction. Security, who typically wants centralized management, centralized understanding and control over the environment and the threat landscape, and also things like central point of audit. And operations teams, and here I'm not talking about the operations of the secrets management solution, I'm talking about the operations of the service or product that we're actually building. Since secrets are actually fetched in runtime, we have to make sure that they're available and timely so that we don't impact the SLA of the service itself. To take this broad landscape and break it down into pieces, we often think of it like this. Secure cloud native apps and CI/CD pipelines is a category of modern dynamic workloads. COTS and bots, where COTS is commercial off the shelf, so not software that you build, but software that you buy and use. And bots, which are probably things as part of like robotic process automation or any other business automation that you have. Then we have applications, many of them still, that are homegrown applications that you've built that are in some type of N-tier or distributed architecture. This could span everything from a mainframe to .NET to Java. And then devices, things about cameras, printers, smart video phones. All of these things also are IDs. And the magic of what we're trying to do in this landscape is say, we can't just secure what's kind of cool or new. We do have to secure all of it in order to reduce our threat landscape. But today, of course, our thought process of the topic was, let's look more at how do we handle the more modern applications in this space. So maybe the containerized platforms, things in the public cloud, and the DevOps tools. So first, the simplicity of SaaS has really made it easier for companies to adopt a secrets management platform faster. For all of the reasons why SaaS makes our lives easier, you don't have to run the back-end infrastructure. You can just consume secrets management as a service, as part of your shared platform that your developers work on every day and integrate it into your environments. And those environments might be a popular CI/CD tool like Jenkins or another. It could be Terraform, so that at time of provisioning, you're actually creating the right secrets and vaulting them at the same time. It might be an automation that's running on-premise, such as Ansible, or it could be any of the different flavors of Kubernetes these days, including OpenShift. But the key of the SaaS environment is that wherever the workload is, we deploy an edge that is a replica of the secrets management solution sitting right next to where the workload is, whether that be in a different cloud region or maybe that be in one of your own data centers. And why that matters is all about latency and resilience. If for some reason there's a network latency or a loss of network connection back to the secrets management solution running in the cloud, we don't want the workload to be impacted. So the workload is running off of its local replica, or what we call an edge, so that it continues to operate without any disruption. Network connectivity comes back, the edge catches up with the SaaS service, and things just continue. So it's about resilience, and it's about scale, and it's about distribution of the problem set down to where we need the solution most. The other aspect of a successful secrets management service is that it has both a simple user interface and robust APIs. In this example, just showing you how one inside of our solution builds native authenticators. But you can also add secrets, retrieve secrets, batch retrievals, and many, many more through a robust API set. And this is typically customers will start through the UI to kind of gain experience in how the service works and test things out. But then you're going to want to move to more of an as code model to get things to scale and human out of the touch as much as possible. Now, how do we also further risk the compromise or mitigate the risk of compromise? There's really two common techniques. Secrets rotation being the first one, which is let's regularly rotate the secret, basically regenerate the password with a strong, well-built password, and rotate all of the targets that use that password as well as the identity that needs it. And why do we do that? It's so that if a secret should have been compromised, it's only as good until we rotate it again. So that secrets rotation reduces the time of risk of the exposure. And another technique that's used quite frequently, something called dynamic or ephemeral secrets. And what we talk about here is secrets that are created just in time or on demand. They exist for a limited period of time. So think of them as something that it's created when you need it, you use it for a period of time, and then it kind of self-destructs by either being deleted or becoming obsolete. In both cases, two different techniques being deployed for us to make sure that we can mitigate that risk of compromise. Another avenue to try to help our modern cloud development teams is quite often people want to use and should use, if it helps them, the native secret store in their cloud service. So think of Azure Key Vault in Azure or AWS Secrets Manager. Now the good and the bad of what happens here, the good is we have a very native experience of using that native secrets service. If you will, the bad or the complexity that we create in our enterprise is it's siloed away from that overall secrets management security program. So here what we're trying to do is bridge to both, get the best of both worlds. Have, in this case, our solution called Secrets Hub sit in the middle and say, hey, let's have the primary secret service, in this case CyberArk, either on-premise or in the cloud, be creating the secrets, rotating the secrets, own the policy and the audit, but let's put a read-only copy of those secrets into the native secret store. Now what happens is the cloud developer or the cloud workload don't have their overall practice or daily workflows interrupted, but yet we have a centralized control. So again, trying to strike the best of both worlds here. And just like I showed before, to make this work, you want a simple UI and robust APIs, both of which are available so that you can experiment with the service, get used to it, understand where you need it, at times maybe continue to do things manually, and or go to a secrets as code kind of concept and drive it all through an API set. Now, in the world of building modern applications, there's also humans, right? Us developers and SREs and data scientists. We're also part of this landscape. We can be compromised as their human identity. So another service that we offer and that we think one should think about is how do you give the the humans that are accessing all of these cloud services the appropriate privileges. What services should they have access to, and what level of privilege should they have? And it's a fairly complex universe of services, maybe even one cloud or multiple clouds, and lots of people that you have to control. So this is about us trying to adapt and learn what is the appropriate privileges for each person, and then make them consistent, native, and pragmatic, meaning let's not have lots of humans in the loop approving things, but sort of learn what's the right level, and then also help people kind of temporarily escalate their privileges when it makes sense based upon your policies. But we really want to get both sides of that equation buttoned down, both the human access and the non-human access in the cloud. Now, in all of this, I talked about automation. Typically, these days, lots of us want to automate with low-code, no-code solutions. We in CyberArk offer one called Identity Flows. You could use ours or someone else's. But the key here is to get to scale, to get to that cloud experience, to get to that self-service desired outcome. We want to be able to have lots of connectors, lots of integrations, and build automations once as part of our shared platforms, and let the consumers of the secrets of service just see it as a super fast automated workflow. So it's a really important part of kind of going from, a few applications running inside a secrets management solution to perhaps thousands in a large enterprise, is deploying automation behind the platform. Now, at this point, sometimes an audience that's new to this topic might be saying, wow, this seems kind of overwhelming and I'm not sure where to start. So the CyberArk blueprint is built for those just getting going. And it has a prescriptive set of stages, phases, and milestones to help you say, okay, based upon these goals, let's build a program together and figure out what steps to take, usually driven by what is your highest risk and maybe the easiest to solve, and let's do them first, and then move your way through the rest of the landscape of your applications. We also offer a number of what we call accelerators. These are working examples of automation and the APIs at work, which comes with simple, each accelerator comes with a goal, prerequisites, step-by-step instructions, and code examples that are open sourced and community supported, sometimes even community advanced. But this gives you a way to get a working example and see it actually run, and then tailor that to your unique environment. And here's just an example of some of the accelerators that are available today. Another great way to learn is to learn from those that went before you. Here's just an example of some links you could click or go to our own customer stories, and you'll see for your previous customers of ours that have actually come up with a problem with us, solutioned it with us, and now have results they want to share with the world. Another great place to go is to analysts that look at, hey, from their opinion of a set of ranking of different criteria, what are the things you should look for when you choose a secrets management solution? We're proud that we came out on the top here of this recent ranking, but maybe more important to you is to see the criteria that they use to say, how does that map to your criteria? So in closing, what I'd like to say here is, right, together we can. Deliverable measure, cyber risk reduction, which is what this is all about, reducing the risk of your enterprise. Securing your digital transformation, your modern cloud, satisfy your audit and compliance, and do it in the most operationally efficient way possible so that we can scale up and make ourselves get to a wide program that really does have an impact on your overall cyber risk. So thank you so much, and now I look forward to having a chance to take some questions from you all.
All right. Great presentation, Kurt. Thanks so much for all of that. I'm going to throw up the poll question here. Let us know what additional information you would like about the CyberArk solution while Kurt and I dive into some of your questions. Kurt, are you ready?
I am ready. Happy to be
Oh,
here.
yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a lot of fun here. Okay, so first one up today, Kurt, is how do you mitigate the risk of a secret being compromised?
Yeah, for sure, several mechanisms. One, probably the primary place to start is never hard code secrets in code or variables or files where somebody could get a handle on them. And then secondly, even once inside a solution like CyberArk, you want to rotate those secrets often or choose to use an ephemeral secret so that it kind of automatically destroys itself after being used. So no hard coding and have them live the shortest life possible.
Gotcha. Now, hard coding is kind of one of those things to me that seems like obvious and has been obvious for a while, but in that way, it's sort of like patching servers. Everybody knows, to do it regularly, but it seems like so many people still don't do that. Is that kind of your sense that these things are still occurring much more often than they should?
Unfortunately, I think the compelling urge of copy and paste is still our nemesis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great answer there, Kurt. Okay. Next up for you today. How do you scale up secrets management across hundreds of applications?
The real key here is two things, in my opinion. One is you need to centralize the solution because you can't keep replicating infrastructure. But then on top of that, you've got to get to automation so that you can scale up without humans in the loop, without humans having to request or approve things, but have it be more of a self-service environment where application teams can come make a request for a secret, have an automated workflow, where possible even have an automated provisioning of the secret into the system. So automation is key to scale up.
Absolutely. And it's even smaller environments. I mean, you don't have to be an enterprise anymore to use or to need automation. It is just that there's just no way to keep up without using it anymore. In my opinion, no matter how big your setup is, really, I think it's just incumbent on everyone to be looking at it and really a requirement these days. Okay, so next question. We got time for maybe one or two more. So Peter asks, can CyberArk create and rotate the secrets themselves without users or developers having access to the actual secrets?
Yeah, for sure. Great question, Peter. And that is exactly the objective. The end user or the developer, even the workload itself, never needs to know the actual secret value. Just an API call to retrieve the secret, and behind the scenes, the CyberArk solution is constantly recreating and rotating the secrets. So that's exactly the mission of the system.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that kind of security is just beyond important these days. No way really to keep safe without something like that. So that is great to hear. Ala wants to know, and I'm not sure if you can answer this or not, but I wanted to throw it out to you. He asks, is Linux as a backup platform more secure than Windows? I know generally it is thought so, but I'm wondering if you feel like you can weigh in on that.
Oh boy, Linux versus Windows. Let's weigh in on a waging war in the industry.
I know, exactly.
My honest answer is it really depends upon how well you've tightened them down and the configuration you have in place. I think you can make either pretty darn secure or make either pretty sloppy. It's kind of up to you to get it right.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you for the consultant's answer. Right? that's always the best
answer.
It depends, and it really does. Exactly right, though, Kurt. You can be really good and on top of things with either one, and you can be sloppy, as you mentioned. You can be negligent with either one, in which case neither is going to keep you secure. So 100%. Okay, and I think we have got time for just one more question right now before we let you go. And this one is from someone who wants to know, what resources does CyberArk offer to help us get started?
Yeah, lots of resources and always willing to help. I think you'll find some resources right inside the framework of our day today. But in addition to that, our blueprint is usually the best way for people to get started. Sometimes it breaks that analysis paralysis and lets us be prescriptive to you with a set of phases and steps to get going. You can always rearrange those into a customized project or just take our advice from hundreds of previous engagements. So between the resources you can find at our website or the blogs, technical resources like the accelerators, but if you're really sitting there going, great, I've got hundreds or thousands of applications, how do I lay out a program? I suggest you contact us and we'll do a blueprint workshop with you and get going.
Fantastic. And I love the paralysis by analysis comment there too. It's so easy to be overwhelmed by all the options that you just end up not choosing any of them. But the key here is be proactive, get started now, and reach out to CyberArk with any questions. They will certainly get back to you. And so it was so great to have you on today, Kurt. Thank you for everything you educated us about with us, CyberArk. It was really a true delight to show how you can keep us safer. So thanks again for your time today.
Thanks for having me, and good luck to everyone. Happy to help if you reach out.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. Okay, everyone. You see the poll that we got up there. I'm going to leave it up just another second or so. Don't forget what Kurt mentioned before was the handout that we have here from CyberArk. Check out the handout section. Download what you got there. So lots of ways to get in touch with CyberArk. So with that, we are ready for our final presentation of the day here. This is going to be with, let's see, here we go. And that's the right slide that you should be looking at. The final presentation in today's EcoCast comes from Duo Security. Presenting for Duo are Aman Nagra and Colin Medfish. Aman and Colin are ready to go. They are in their studio, ready to take you through their presentation. So I am going to turn it over to them right now. Gentlemen, you are up. The platform is yours.
Hello, everyone. This is Aman Nagra. I'm a product lead, as Tracy mentioned. Today, we're going to talk about OIDC. Before I jump into that, I also want to introduce my colleague, Colin, who's on the call with me. Hey, Colin, can you hear me well?
I can hear you better than I can click the mute button.
All right, sounds good. We'll get started. So first of all, thank you everyone for joining. Today we're going to talk about Duo SSO, its evolution, things that we do today, and our very exciting support for OIDC and why we decided to go that way. So without further ado, here's a disclaimer. As you know, as a SaaS product, our roadmap is always flexible and adapting to meet the needs of our customers. This presentation includes confidential information of Cisco systems and should not be shared publicly. The information shared today includes forward-looking projections based on current assumptions. It is not intended to promise certain products or features, nor should it be taken as a commitment for future performance or any other obligation, as this information is subject to change at any time without notice. Sorry, I had to read full of that as I'm supposed to. So now moving on to our agenda. All right, so we're going to talk about what is single sign-on and federated identity. What does Duo SSO do today? What's in the pipe for tomorrow? What is OAuth and OIDC and the relationship? OIDC use cases, various OIDC grant types, as well as our demo for OIDC auth code flow, which Colin would lead, and then we'll take some questions. But feel free to drop your questions whenever they pop up to you in chat. We'll try to respond to them in chat. If not, we'll also get to them at the end of our presentation as well. All right, so what is single sign-on, right? Single sign-on is a solution that allows us to access multiple applications by just using one set of credentials. That is the very basic definition of single sign-on. If you've used, say, Gmail or Google Drive in your consumer life, you can use the same set of credentials to log in into any of those because they're all in the same Google domain. However, you can use your Google credentials for, say, Facebook or for your Office apps. And that's because they're different domains. And that's where the single sign-on via federation comes in, where all applications actually trust an identity provider to authenticate the user. So once the user is authenticated with the identity provider, or we also call it IDP in short, the user can get one-click access to all applications. And this is how an SSO solution can work across different domains. And more often than not, we leverage SAML and OIDC for that. Here's a screenshot of basically saying, say, if you have to log into Snowflake or Salesforce or Workday, they're all different domains. But if you're using an SSO solution, you can just leverage, the sign in using Duo SSO and provide a consistent experience to your end users. Once they log into one of the applications, they get single sign-on onto any application that they're assigned to. All right, moving on. So, as many of you have already, seen an SSO solution or already have it in place, as an IT administrator, we have heard you, and we have obviously reached out to a lot of you to understand what do you care about. And when we talk to our customers, we constantly hear about balancing security, simplicity, and manageability on one side, with the consistent and intuitive experience on the other side. So unless you're required by regulation to keep everything on-prem, there's no technical reason to run a federation service on-prem, maintain it, update it, patch it. And as long as a solution is scalable and highly available, IT can focus on the core competencies. So when we asked IT, what do you care about? What we heard was, hey, we need a central place for an integrated single sign-on and MFA solution with conditional access, contextually aware, granular policies on one side, but also make it easy on the flip side for our end users, so that the technology doesn't become a blocker for end users. And in a nutshell, what you're asking for is a solution that provides a nice balance between secure access and a delightful experience. This is our guiding principle at Duo, and led us to launch Duo SSO. Duo SSO is, again, not a new offering. Duo has been in the market for a long time and has been a market leader in the multi-factor auth space. What you may not know is that Duo SSO has been around for a long time. We launched our on-prem single sign-on solution about 7 years ago in 2015. And then we launched in less than 2 years ago, in 2020, October. We launched our cloud-based single sign-on solution. And in less than 2 years, we have over 6,000 customers. And in fact, Duo SSO is the fastest growing product line in our portfolio of secure access solutions. So I'm going to walk you through, really quickly, what Duo SSO does today, what's in the pipe, and then we'll move on to OIDC, which is why we're all here. So Duo SSO today supports various supports SAML service provider applications. It supports multiple Active Directories or a SAML IDP, and you can tie in multiple AD forests if you need to. I'm going to walk you through some of the other functionalities. So slide by slide, say passwordless. Passwordless is supported out of the box with Duo SSO to provide a native experience. We support a range of platform authenticators such as Windows Hello, Touch ID, Face ID, and this comes ready out of the box. And you can easily test it in the Duo's admin panel as well. There's obviously a launchpad for applications. It is called Duo Central, where the end user sees all their applications, and they can click on any of these and get single sign-on access. We also obviously have named integrations to kind of make it easier for our admins, so folks like you, to basically integrate apps that are more frequently used. We know that you would probably have this in your environment, so we make it easier for you to set up integrations for apps like basically Microsoft 365 or Salesforce or Google Workspace, so on and so forth. We also support inline Active Directory password reset. So if, say, an end user's password has expired, instead of preventing them from login, we allow them to actually change their password right from this inline and basically avoid support tickets. What's in the pipe? So today we have a lot of functionalities in preview as well. One of the major ones is our support for OIDC, relying party applications. As I will talk through this in detail, I'll just quickly go over a few more things. Another exciting thing is device management portal access via Duo SSO. So think about a scenario that you have a device enrolled with Duo, and now you want to add another device or remove an existing device. If the user is logged into their Duo Central, they have a one-click access to their device management portal where they can basically add or remove device, and they don't have to go through the overhead of opening up a support ticket or needing help from IT admin to do that. Here's a little a GIF walking you through the authentication before allowing the user to add or remove a device. Just clicks on Manage Device. You can see all the devices that you have. All right. Next is user attribute transformation. Attribute transformations allow for attributes to be modified in flight between the authentication source and the service provider applications. For example, you may have multiple Salesforce tenants, and you may need to augment the user principal name from, say, admin@acmecorp to admin local. Because you have different tenants, you need to distinguish between the two names, either by changing the principal name or appending a different domain name, so that they resolve differently. And all of this needs to be done in flight because this doesn't act so that the service provider can understand that there are two different tenant logins. So this was a feature that a lot of our customers asked for, and we are excited to share with you that we have this in private preview. Next, we have admin API configurations for single sign-on applications. Admin APIs allow this particular API allow for adding new application integrations. So basically, it will allow our customers to onboard multiple applications in bulk rather than adding each one of them one by one. And especially useful for customers who have, say, thousands of apps and they could be migrating from another solution and need to move quickly. And we also added AD session timeouts. So by default, AD session timeouts are about eight hours, right? And you can change it with this functionality from anywhere between 1 hour to 24 hours. It allows organizations to adapt the access experience of their end users as per their working hours, and perhaps make sure that the end users are not required to authenticate multiple times in a day. So this was basically it for the the existing feature set that I wanted to walk you through. Now, switching gears to OIDC as well as OAuth 2.0. Do we have any questions, Colin, that you want to address on call, or you've answered them?
There have been no questions so far.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so before we talk about OIDC and OAuth, the relationship of OIDC to OAuth is of authentication to authorization. So authentication is about verifying who you are. So for example, your passport has your picture on it. It basically authenticates you, your physical presence at some place. Your authorization is more about verifying if you are allowed to access a certain resource. So, at the immigration counter, the officer looks at your passport and verifies that you are the same person that you claim to be. But then if you need to be in a place where your passport doesn't give you out-of-the-box access, then you may need visa. And visa is more like an authorization that, yes, you are allowed to be in this country or in this place. So authorization and authentication are two basic things that are tied at the hip for end users access, and that's how OIDC interacts with OAuth as well. So OAuth 2.0 or open authorization is an authorization standard, and it is designed to allow a website or application to access resources hosted by other web apps on behalf of a user. So think of a scenario that you say, you're applying for a job on a website, and they ask you to not create a whole profile, but maybe just import some information from another website, say LinkedIn. So on the first screen here, you see a screenshot from greenhouse.io and saying that apply with LinkedIn. If I clicked apply with LinkedIn, it basically says that, okay, I will import some information from there. It's not creating a profile for me. It is not, leveraging my identity. I'm only authorizing use of certain information. And it basically is able to export information such as my username, my first name, last name, email, and my description. That's an example of OAuth being leveraged. So what is OIDC? OIDC is basically OpenID Connect. It is OIDC is in a very basic sense an identity layer on top of an elaborate authorization standard, which is OAuth 2.0, and it allows clients to verify the identity as well as obtain basic profile information about the end user when the user is trying to access an HTTPS endpoint. Now, OIDC, does a lot of what SAML does, and SAML is an elaborate protocol as well and has been in use for a long time. However, OIDC offers certain advantages for certain use cases. For example, when trying to log into a mobile app natively, or web apps which are single page apps, or SPAs as we call them, or supporting API to API communications as well. You've actually leveraged OIDC in your personal life, probably, when you're trying to say logging into LinkedIn, and it says, do you want to continue as your account, which I'm already logged into with my with my Google's Duo identity, or you're trying to log into Twitter and it says, continue using your Google identity or Apple identity, or create another one. So and similarly for Spotify. So OIDC is very prevalent in B2C world out there, and it's catching up fast. We're seeing great adoption in B2B as well. So more about OIDC. OIDC was developed by OpenID Foundation in 2014. It leverages various OAuth grant types, and as you can see, different grant types are suitable for different access scenarios. A lot of them are listed here. As you can see, the ones in green are the ones that we plan to support, and a few of them in red are actually deprecated as per the OAuth 2.1 specifications. So why should you consider OIDC, right? So OIDC, first and foremost, it's easier and simpler to set up. It's also less overhead. So while SAML has been a de facto standard for identity data exchange, it is trusted and is feature rich. OIDC has its own advantages because it is well suited for certain use cases. As I mentioned, it is easier to set up. It works natively with RESTful APIs and inherently resolves a lot of workarounds or challenges that modern apps are faced with while working with SAML. For example, OIDC works really well with single page apps, mobile apps. OIDC uses JSON web tokens, as we call JOT tokens. They are easy to encrypt and are well suited for frequent requests, causing a lot of back and forth exchange of information. So think of a scenario where there's an API to API or app to app communication happening frequently, and sending over you leveraging SAML for those would probably not be as efficient. And finally, OIDC is, as I said, quite popular in consumer identity. SAML is going to be quite popular. It's going to stay popular, and but OIDC, because it is more apt for modern use cases, is going to pick up, and that's why we wanted to add support for this. We are hearing from our customers that they feel constrained by SAML to support their mobile apps or some other scenarios, and OIDC will really unlock some of those use cases as well. Here's a little, setup of, say, use cases and recommended grant types. If you have web applications and the best practice is to use auth code for that, and maybe Pixie, another grant type with it, or hybrid grant type. If you have native or single page applications, using auth code with Pixie or auth code and Pixie could be is something that we have seen our customers leverage. If you have a lot of app-to-app communications, then client credentials, which kind of obfuscates an identity layer and is more of on the OAuth side, is something that is recommended as well. Today, we wanted to obviously talk to you about OIDC, how the exchange happens, as well as we'll introduce you to some terms that are used in it. So yeah, without further ado, I'll have my colleague Colin jump in and walk you through OIDC.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Aman. Cool. So as going back a slide or two, when Aman was talking about the differences between OIDC and SAML, one of the major differences is that OIDC, because it allows for that back-channel communication, it is able to communicate and authenticate and authorize without actually needing to redirect the user's browser. So Aman, can you skip forward to the diagram slide real quick? So what's pretty cool here is after the client, so the client being what actual device you're connecting to, it redirects your browser to the server to authenticate. It sends back the authorization code in step 3. But after that, there's actually no additional communication needed, or interactive communication needed between you as the end user and the OpenID provider, so Duo.
All right. So yeah, so that was our demo, right? That we support any generic OIDC integration that you have. We've tested it with a bunch of applications, and it works great. We would love for you to try it out. And if you are an existing Duo SSO customer, actually, regardless of whether you are on MFA or Access or Beyond tier, you have SSO, Duo SSO available to you in your package and at no extra charge. If you are not a Duo customer, you can reach out to your Cisco or Duo sales rep and get plugged in. If you do not have a Cisco rep and instead you prefer an MSP, we work with plenty of MSPs. Please reach out to them to ask. Or you can just simply leave an inquiry on our website, put in your contact details or through this webinar. And then if you're interested, we are available in different parts of the world. And obviously our reps will, get in touch with you. But with that, we are actually ready for questions as you may have.
Okay. Thanks for that great presentation, Aman and Colin. Although unfortunately we are actually out of time right now and we cannot get to those questions. You just provided too much great information. So we are way too short on time, but not to fear. Send in all of your questions for Duo and we will make sure the Duo team gets them and they will be responding to you to follow up with any questions that you do have. In the meantime, we have a poll question for you. We appreciate your feedback on additional resources you would like to get from Duo Security. And don't forget, there is a handout there as well. As we do for all our vendors, check that out in the handout section while you got another couple of minutes and download those free resources. They are just so valuable. Thanks to all of you who are responding to the poll. We very much appreciate it. I'm going to leave it up for one more minute, and then we are going to start our wrap up here. Aman and Colin, thanks again so much for letting us know what Duo Security is up to and how they can help us be more secure with single sign-on. Not too many things are more important than that in terms of protecting your overall environment. And with that, folks, we are ready for our final prize drawing of today's EcoCast. The third $300 gift card winner for today is Jacob Levine from California. Congratulations to you, Jacob. And remember that I really like bike stuff. If you're buying something for me with those winnings that you got, I'm just throwing it out there. Just a quick mention. So Jacob, we will be in touch about claiming your prize. And again, congratulations for that. So, were you watching the event today and thinking that this kind of thing would be perfect for your company, for your platform, your solution to kind of spread the word about what you're doing? If that is the case, please reach out to us. The email is up there on the slide right now. It's connect@actualtechmedia.com. We would love to hear from you to help determine which of our hundreds of events that we have each year would be a good fit for you. We're also great at custom webinars, coming up with a solution or an event that fits perfectly exactly what you're trying to do. Reach out to us and we will get back to you ASAP on that. Next thing, tomorrow we have a webinar that is just a perfect fit for what you saw today. It fits like a hand in a glove, as I like to say. It's called Enabling and Securing a Remote and Hybrid Workforce, and it's tomorrow, Wednesday, November 29th, starting at noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Could that be a more perfect fit, everyone, with what we've been introduced to today and what we have seen now? Just a perfect companion event. So if this intrigues you and you want even more information, sign up right after we are done today. And that is right now, in fact. We are done, folks. On behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank all of our presenters today for putting together awesome presentations, demos, Q&A, insights. So much fun for everyone, especially me. Thanks to all of our participants for making this event possible, and they include Couchbase, Rubrik, CyberArk, Duo Security. And finally, last but never least, I want to thank all of you attendees for being here, for spending time with us, for spending time with me, for your questions and for your interest in the topic. It's always a delight to be on with you. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. And I very much look forward to seeing you in the next one. And that's it, folks. We're done. Get out of here. Go have a great rest of your day.